The real reason behind the Connor McDavid extension has been revealed as we finally hear from Connor McDavid after the Oilers practiced this morning, and some more words from general manager Stan Bowman on exactly how this deal came together and how will this set up the Oilers down the road in the future there. All that more today here on Oilers Digest. The actual NHL season starts today, but the Oilers still have one more sleep to wait until they kick off against the Calgary Flames, and we are on the road to 5,000 subscribers. If you haven't done so already, folks, make sure you hit that button down below. 71% of you watching these videos have not hit that button, so make sure you join the ride here on Oilers Digest. What a way to start the season off with that McDavid extension, and hopefully third time is the charm. But when it comes to how this deal came together, I mean, you heard me time and time again on the channel from, multiple so-called insiders around the NHL, and, even Connor McDavid until, a few days ago, did not know what he himself wanted from TSN's Ryan Rashog, giving us a bit more context on how this deal exactly came together. McDavid and his agent John Moldover came to the determination several days ago that if they were doing a deal, it would be 2 years at $12.5 million. That was their sweet spot. Then they took a few more days to think it through, and as of Sunday night, a decision still had not been made. So yeah, a lot of the insiders were saying, "Oh, he's making this at this term," but again, not even the main man himself, the one who had to put the green light on everything, didn't know exactly what he wanted. And then yesterday morning, Monday morning, McDavid greenlit the deal, and the conversation between Moldover and the Oilers was 5 minutes. He informed them the term in dollars, and that was the first time in the entire process any number had been mentioned. And I'm sure, Stan Bowman hearing that number, I did not take long to get it sealed up from there and phoning the league office to get it all settled in. But Stan Bowman again shocked at that number, as the entire time they were trying to deliberate over the entire process, they did not discuss the numbers, the dollar signs whatsoever, saying, "I'm being genuine when I say that in every conversation I've had with Connor or Judd over the summer in the previous weeks, we never once talked about money because that wasn't what this was about. This is a unique situation because it's not about the money for Connor, and I think I've been open about that. That's not at all what this is about. I think he could answer that, but I don't want to speak for him because we're just excited that he believes in where we are and where we are headed." I think that's the thing. That's great news for us. But the number itself was nothing we ever spoke about there. And he's also asked, does this change the Oilers, short-term plans at all? But, Stan Bowman says, the main priority is to win there. And he's not going to deviate off the course just because he's been given, a lot of breathing room cap-wise, saying that's the way this has been since the day I started here. We all have the same belief, which is the reason I came here, because I believe we can win and I want to win. And that's what motivates me to do this. And I know that's what motivates Connor, as Stan Bowman said time and time again, it's eating at Connor McDavid. The two losses back-to-back in the Stanley Cup final, absolutely eating at him. I know he had that little bit of celebration there with the Four Nations face-off, but obviously it doesn't correlate to, the Stanley Cup. So nothing changes. It's continuing on with our approach, which has always been that we're here pushing ourselves every day to find ways to make our team better, and nothing will change in that regard. So it's full steam ahead, and it's an exciting time to be with the organization. And we finally caught up with Connor McDavid after practice there, saying, "I obviously said I was committed to winning here, and I meant that. 2 years makes a lot of sense. Gives us some time to continue chasing with the guys that we have right now. It's a unique situation. 2 years at that number makes a lot of sense for both sides." And then sort of joking around with the media there, his dog Lenny's not going to go hungry with that amount of money there. So McDavid, again, 2 years, sort of lights a fire underneath, management there, but it gives some time for McDavid, with the band. Currently, right now, things could always change, even a year from now. So again, the main core the Oilers have right now, McDavid is fully confident that they can get the job done. It's just, going into the future there. I know they have Ike Howard, Matt Savoy, so on and so forth there, with the Oilers trying to, rebuild their prospect pool with the creative ways that they've been doing so. But again, McDavid fully confident, and 2 years with this year, well, giving it 3 years for McDavid. Lots of time for the Oilers to again kick it into full gear and finally get themselves a Stanley Cup champion there. And of course, other fan bases around the NHL. James Johnson here, Flames fan, saying check for tree planting companies. As you can see there, the whole Kawhi Howard. Or Kawhi Leonard, I should say. I don't know where I got Kawhi Howard from. Kawhi Leonard and the Los Angeles Clippers, that whole controversy there. So other fan bases sort of still befuddled at this whole revelation from McDavid that saying, 12.5, because easily he could have made, close to 20 million there. And for the future of the Oilers, here from Kevin McCurdy, sort of paraphrasing the Bob Stauffer radio show last night with his Stan Bowman interview. Bowman told him they're not spending firsts either as picks or as players who were previous firsts unless there is term or the re-up is a slam dunk. This applied both to Trent Frederic, who was, on an expiring contract and extended for 8 years with the Oilers, trading, Shane LaChance there, who wouldn't sign with the Oilers and looks to be, a development prospect for the Devils, so all the power to him. And then Jake Wallman, who again was only extended yesterday, but they managed to get that done there. So the Oilers, with the philosophy saying they're not going to spend first round picks or players who were first round picks on rentals there, which I think is a very, very smart move for the organization there. They're trying to get the best return on investment there for whoever they decide to acquire there. And from Elliot Friedman here, we'll get to the Kris Knoblauch contract in a second. And next up could be Ekholm, who desires to stay when it comes to, an extension. I'm getting mixed messages on whether it'll be a short-term deal on something model on Kris Tanev's contract with the Leafs to spread out the cap hit. Of course, Kris Tanev around the same age as Mattias Ekholm, who took a 6-year, deal at, $4.5 million there. So the contract will end when he is 40 years old there. So we could see something similar like that with Mattias Ekholm there, longer-term contract. I know the age is scaring, a lot of people a little bit, the injuries that he's been dealing with, over the past year. That's sort of, scaring me a little bit, but we all know what Mattias Ekholm can bring, not only on the ice, but also in the locker room there. I mean, fantastic vet presence, and not just, the vet presence, but also the style of play and the work ethic that he brings there. I know a lot of teams, have that vet presence in the locker room, and they're not really that good anymore, but Mattias Ekholm still has a little bit in the tank there, and the long-term deal, again, drags down, the cap hit a little bit there, so again, could help out the Oilers in the long run. As we can see, for the Oilers in 2026-27, they will have $22 million or almost $23 million in cap space in that year, and the $104 million cap limit in 26-27. That's just projected. That's not official, so it could go up a little bit more there. And you look the year after that, which would be the year as Connor McDavid's next contract expires. They're $41 million there. So the Oilers, could have the space to give McDavid, the maximum contract that he's been deserving of, pretty much near the beginning of his career. So lots of exciting times here for the Oilers ahead as we get set for the Battle of Alberta tomorrow night there. So it should be, again, very, very interesting. So let me know down in the comments what you think about the whole McDavid situation. I know 2 years. Do you get scared about that at all? Or do you think after those 2 years are up, that's when McDavid will go, okay, give me more money, please, and pretty much, blank check. That's what he will be given there. But, the cap world is a very, very interesting one there. And again, the fact that he gave the Oilers a second straight discount and he's almost 30 years old, that just shows you how much he wants to win the Stanley Cup there. And that is, as Jake Wallman said, I'm not going to say the actual word. What an effing captain. I mean, that's all I have to say about that too. But let me know down in the comments your full thoughts, your full final thoughts on the whole McDavid situation there. But folks, take care. I mean, hockey's back today. It's an American tripleheader that kicks off in just a couple hours there, but still something to watch there as we wait for the Oilers to finally hit the ice. But take care. Have a great rest of the day. I'm Matt.